All right, welcome back to the weekly Walk and Talk. I hope you are doing great. This is the video of the week, everyone's favorite, especially mine because I get to take a stroll in beautiful surroundings such as today. And we talk about a lot of crazy news of the week, a lot of stuff that the media isn't reporting on, or if they are, they're saying double speak, the polar opposite. We're going to talk about everything from war, we're going to talk about finance and economics, right through to these UFOs and balloon distractions and everything else. So just enjoy the talk while we walk through these beautiful surroundings. And Kristen is not on the video today. She's not too impressed with what just was announced with the UK government, which is that they've granted this amnesty now, or they're about to grant an amnesty for all the people that entered the UK illegally, because she spent 5 years, actually 7 years, getting her British citizenship, and it cost her about £20,000 with legal costs and everything else like that. So she is not on the video today. She's not impressed at all. So what is the first story today then? The big one in the news. Putin has just broken off the nuclear agreement that he had with the USA. So without getting into every last detail of that, it was basically a treaty so that they couldn't have, crazy amounts of nukes and stuff like that. So he has just broken that off so that he can have more in readiness for deployment. And I get this question a lot, actually, about whether we're going to have this massive World War III and nuclear war and everything else. And the answer is probably, because if you think about what comes after the number one, well, that's the number two. What comes after the number two, well, that's number three. So it's inevitable at some point that we're going to have this World War III. No matter how refined we think we are, we're still humans, and human beings are goal-orientated, resource accumulation-based creatures. And that gets more severe the higher up the food chain you go. So with the globalists, and talking of globalists, have you seen all of these performances at the moment on the Grammys, the Brit Awards, even the Super Bowl? People, I mention this to people and they say, what are you talking about? And I say the triangle and the hand signals and, all the other stuff. And people say, I don't know what you mean. And I say, how can you not see all of this? And the space, pause, tannic rituals and things like that. This stuff is pretty in your face, scary. Even more worrying is that most of these music videos target children and teenagers. What a world we are moving into, hey? And by the way, if you're new to the channel, I know there's a lot of new people. I'm unfiltered. I just say it how I see it. And I think one of the reasons a lot of people like what I say is because I'm basically saying what most of you are thinking. It's just if you say this out in public, you get ostracized and people think you're nuts and crazy conspiracy theorist and whatever else. So back to the nukes and things like that then. What else happened? Well, the UK has just announced, this is from the UK government, that they are going to ready a nuclear test capability, which is basically what if you're in the USA, you'll have had this for a long time. And that's where you get those messages and it says, whatever, a natural disaster or some sort of pedo is on the loose, someone's just been snatched or whatever. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. So they've just announced that they are going to be doing this and they're going to be putting out instructions. And it made me laugh because when I read it, it said that you'll be directed to a website so you know exactly what action to take immediately. And I thought straight away, okay, so as soon as I get that message, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to look at what actions they recommend, and then I'm going to do the exact opposite, which is what I do with any government guidance over the last few years. Whatever they say to do, I do the complete opposite, and I am doing great. I am fine. Look at my health. I am just as healthy today as I was when I was 20, 30 years old. And talking of all this warmongering and things going on, well, actually, let me say one other thing. If there is a nuke exchange, guys, don't even worry about it. We'll all be dead anyway. None of us will survive that unless you live completely rural, because what will happen, it will be major metro centres that will be targeted. All of you guys that love your 15-minute cities, yeah, good luck with that one. But even here where I live, look at all my nature here around me, I'm still going to get some sort of fallout or a tidal wave coming over the island. So I don't think any of us are going to escape it. So don't even worry about it. I get this question all the time about how worried everyone is about the nukes and stuff. Honestly, don't worry about it. If it happens, it happens. We will all be dead anyway. But talking of the warmongering then, Elon Musk has just come out and blasted Victoria Nuland. He said she is the biggest warmonger he has ever seen, which I think is pretty accurate unless you include Liz Truss in there, ex-Prime Minister, probably the shortest reigning Prime Minister ever in British history. So I don't know exactly what she's up to now, but she seems to be doing all these speeches in different places. Hello, got a dog here. So she seems to be doing all of these speeches all around the world. Hiya. And what her role is with these speeches, I'm not too sure at all. I'm not sure. They don't really say. They just say she's on this speaking tour, obviously getting paid a lot of money for each speech. Like Fauci, 100 grand a speech. If you missed last week or the week before's video, 100 grand a speech now. Yeah, do you want a motivational speech from Fauci? Yeah, I think I'll pass on that one, but I'm sure you can sign up somewhere if you want that. Now, the other thing that I'm amazed that I didn't see this video, because it's been out about a year now. There was a new recruitment campaign ad put out by Russia and the USA for their military at exactly the same time. Some of you are probably laughing already because you know where this is going. How I missed this, I'm not sure. But there was this Russian one, and it was like, super boom boom motivational. They knew exactly the sort of stuff to get men like, oh yeah, I can be the best, I can be great, and I can achieve greatness and serve my country and all that. And these guys look brutal, like really tough, parachuting, all that sort of stuff. And then flicks to the US one. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I've got a clip here that I can put on, because I don't know. If I try and describe this, people will think I'm making this up, honestly.
It begins in California, with a little girl raised by two moms. I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age. Standing at the altar to marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class. I found it. A way to prove my inner strength.
Yeah, so there we go. That's going to be some sort of battle. Oh boy. Now, another misleading story that's out today and yesterday, and so many people are picking up on this, is that the US is about to quadruple their troop numbers in Taiwan. And it's talking about how they're going to, help to defend against China and all this other stuff. Here's what they're not saying. The US currently has, 30 troops in Taiwan? So that'll bring it up to 120 troops. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look at that video. I don't know if that's going to be much of a dent on the Chinese military, but I mean, what do I know? And another interesting one, Greece. It's all about Greece at the moment, isn't it? So you had that Greek MEP. She's now, it wasn't thousands she got in bribes and everything else. Now it's in the millions. It's just getting worse and worse. But Greece in general have just been caught out. So an EU country, bearing in mind, the EU is furious. They've just found out that Greece has been importing huge amounts of oil and other energy and things like that from Russia. So on one side, they do all these sanctions and saying, oh yeah, oh terrible, oh Russia, oh yeah. And then on the other side, they're like shaking hands with them. Oh yeah, let's do all these deals. We'll buy your stuff. We'll give you money. Oh gosh, it reminds me of an old proverb which goes, a man is judged by his deeds and not by his words. And you can apply that to a country as well, because that is what we're seeing at the moment. In fact, actually, this is a really good point. So the UN just took this big vote. They made a big deal. It's in all the media on, but it's not clear. That's the thing. I really went through lots of articles to find out what exactly this vote was about, this huge vote. And they said, you know, the world is voting and they demand. Eventually I found this comment. It says the vote was in order to demand Russia withdraw from Ukraine. So I looked at who voted on it. In favour was 141, against was 7, and those who didn't want to vote was 32. So I think, again, just applying logic here, I think that was probably a test to see who the allies are of NATO and who the allies are of Russia, or shall we say the West versus Russia. And it voted exactly as you would expect. It was the main BRICS countries that voted against, or they refused to vote. But again, what is a refusal to vote? It means that you're against, basically. That's why you don't want to vote, otherwise you would vote. Now, the other really big announcement that's just come out is again a strange one. It's a very strange one, because Iraq has said that they're going to start accepting other currencies to do trade, which is ironic. What did the US spend there? Wasn't it 1.1 trillion to put a puppet government in place there? And now that seems to have backfired, because they're going to start accepting yuan, and they're also showing an interest in joining BRICS. So this is every single week now, you're seeing all of these alliances forming, which is just pushing us closer and closer to number 3. Let's jump into the finance and economics news now then. And we've just had Bank of America, who received fines of $1.2 billion. Fines and settlements of $1.2 billion in one single year in 2022. Can you imagine that you've got your money in a bank that received fines and penalties for all sorts of acts, shall we say, and you're trusting them with your money? Oh my goodness, because I know that is a lot of people right now. And we talked about UK food inflation yesterday, didn't we? Well, today we'll just mention that it's now almost $400 per month is the average inflation cost in the last 12 months for USA households. So whatever your costs were a year ago, they're now $400 more as of 2023. Who do you have to thank for that? Is it you know who? Or is it central bankers creating too much new currency and expanding the supply? I think we know the answer. And one other thing I want to talk about, so distracting today, all this beautiful, beautiful scenery here. One other thing I want to talk about is my forecast on the housing market declines and where we are with all of those, because we've just had $2.3 trillion now wiped off the US housing market as prices continue to decline. Again, if you want to understand all this, just watch my video on it and it will explain. We're almost through the final stage now. We're about half of the stage left, and that's it, and then we really hit. But I would expect a 10% this year, so on top of last year, I'd expect a 10% decline, no problem at all. And if you want to see how accurate my forecasts have been, by the way, there's a playlist on the channel where I talk about everything from finance to inflation to currency creation, housing market, gold and silver, stock markets, and all sorts of other things. Just look at that for yourself. And the question would be, if you haven't taken my finance course, especially the stock market aspect, maybe that would be, oh gosh, it's blinding. Maybe that would be a good idea to have a look at that if you haven't already, because we're not far off now my forecast that we are about to launch. So it's not long now. You've still got enough time to study up on the course, because you'll need a fair amount of time to understand it and actually do the exercises if you want to get in on what is coming in the stock market. So we're not far off now. Now, as we talk a lot about energy and the problems with energy, and how we're having this shortage, I'm actually going to be speaking with Dr. Chris Martinson, and that interview will be out shortly. It'll be a short one for the channel, and then the long one will be on Patreon. So you'll be able to watch that in the private community, the long extended version. But we're going to talk about all sorts, from energy and how energy drives the economy, because that is what drives GDP really, if you think about it. And then we're going to get into loads more different topics on finance and economics and forecasts and everything else. So that'll be an interesting video coming out soon. Now let's talk about a couple of the weird ones. Gosh, this sun is so bright right now. So we'll talk about a couple of these strange ones there. So Liz Truss, former PM, doing all these speeches. In one speech, she announced this. Let me read it out. The free world is in danger and warns authoritarian regimes are trying to create a new world order. Now, the irony of that is that she's a WEF member. She's on their website as a member. So remember, it's all double speak. What they do is they put out things like, they say, oh, this person here over in the East, he's trying to make a new world order with him at the head. And we've seen the WEF has really shown their cards, especially at the One World Government Summit last week, actually. So I just did a video on that on Wednesday, so check that out. They were very clear. They said exactly what they want to do. They want to create this new one world government and everything like that. So it's just funny that you see all these speeches going on and the media reports on them and everything else like that. Oh, we need to help create this one world thing, because if we don't, someone else is going to do it. Now, we've got to finish up again talking about this UFO, balloon, whatever situation going on. I touched upon it, but I feel as though it deserves a second mention now, because it's so funny that everyone's distracted by this whole weather balloon situation and UFO situation and everything like that, and they're not focusing on the most important things. All these events that are happening right now, and everyone's focused on a weather balloon. And the other thing that made me laugh was I read the report on these balloons they shot down. So they shot down 3 of them, and UFOs, they shot these UFOs down, and it said that they were unable to recover any of the wreckage because the missiles they use obliterated. Right, so if you've got a UFO flying around and you don't know what it is, and maybe the technology is amazing, wouldn't you want to maybe knock that down and study it? Nope, they wanted to absolutely obliterate it into a million pieces so that nothing could be recovered. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, actually. Yeah, I wonder why I didn't think of that one. All right, look at this, beautiful. But we're gonna wrap up there then. I just noticed there's 2 women in the sea having a swim behind me. That is pretty hardcore, because even I haven't taken a swim just yet. I'm gonna leave it another couple of weeks before I go in. So respect to those ladies behind me. All right, well, thanks for watching today. Thanks for being a subscriber here. Take care. God bless you guys, and I'll see you next week now.